Good evening, everyone. Ellen Sutter of ESP Presents and ESP Book Chats, where we bring page turners your way. We do have a guest tonight, and it is Lolita Coppage. We're on day 2 of her book. She'll be in just a moment. And thank you guys for, there she is right there. Thank you guys for signing up for our event. And let me invite you in. Tech. Let's see how this is going. Grab that invitation. There you go. That was quick, right?
Yes.
Nothing happening. Yeah, so we're going to go a little bit of over 1. 6 had, it was loaded, so I stopped at 6.
Okay.
7 got little 2 pages, so we'll go and hit that 7, 8, 9, 10 next week.
Okay. Yeah.
So it is loaded. It is loaded, and I didn't want to miss some. It was a lot of stuff she had gone through, and I think at that moment she's learning what it takes to be in a publishing company. Right now, she wants her story. Her story is changing. It's not evolving the way she expected to be. But with that being said, we're gonna open it up. Would you give us the backdrop of your story, and your name, and why you penned this book?
Okay. You want me to go on and do it now?
Yes.
Well, I'm Lolita Coppage. I am, and it took me. I told everyone last week that I dreamt about the story. I dreamt of the title.
Wait, your voice is going in and out. I don't know if you need to move over or move up,
It might be
but it's
closer. How's that? Is that better?
okay.
Can you? Maybe I'll turn it up.
I don't know. Your voice is going in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I think I was a little far away.
Okay.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Well, I was just saying that I had dreamt the story about over 20 years. I dreamt the name of this title, and I dreamt of 4 characters. But it took me 20 years to kind of see how the story went and to finish the actual book.
Okay. And we're going to hit some of those chapters, sprinkle of 1. Well, we'll start at 2. But thank you. I'm going to reset. I see favor words. Favor.words. Thank you for coming in the room. Do share, swipe, and share. This is our segment that is a 3-day segment. This is a paid segment, and it is a 1-hour show. This is day 2. If anyone that's out there is an author interested, do email me at mrssuds@yahoo.com. So the weather was a little funky, if you will, but it was doing its thing. And so we talked about in the beginning of Anneliese. And this story, as I said, it's a wonderful story that if you are a new writer, even if you are a seasoned writer, just to hear Anneliese's story of a young woman who manuscripts get in the hand, her manuscript get in the hand of a big publishing company. She don't know how it got there. She's questioning how it got there when really others are saying, take it with a grain of salt and be happy. And so that's where we at with this. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to start with, tell us about, for those that are on, thank you for coming in and coming in kind of quick. I guess that's Blue Tips. Thank you for coming in. I'm going to give you a wave. Spinal Bifida, thank you for coming in the room. Guys, thank you for coming in. Do share, swipe, and share. So let's just talk about, in the vein of Anneliese, her manuscript. Like you said, you dreamt, for those who came in or just come in. Lolita is the author here, Coppage, and her book, I'm a hard reader, so don't pay no attention to the book cover, okay? That's why I take a picture and put it up there. I read hard. And so this is her kind of, I really like it. And you will hear in the story why this it'll pop out and give us reason to why it's titled this way. So here we are, we chapter 5, that's where I'm going to start at. We see that Anneliese Lisa is going, she's on her way to have that meeting with Evelyn.
Yeah.
And she's now realizing that this publishing company is huge. The way they treating her when she first come in, she's getting top notch services. She's still not understanding, still not believing. And there's some things that she talked about. You know, it's prestigious stuff going on. A nice hotel that she has never, and she quotes, she has never been to a nice hotel in her whole life. So let's just start there and talk about her and that moment finally going to have that interview.
All right. Well, because like we capped on at the very beginning, somehow this manuscript, her first manuscript, she's a very insecure young woman, very, very insecure. She would have never in a million dreams sent it to a company of that caliber. And I think last week we talked about, I kind of used the example of William Morrison agent actors. Anybody who's a new actor starting out, you're not going to go to the head person, William Morris agency, and send it. It just doesn't happen that way. You have to have an agent, and also in order to get to a big publishing company, you have to have a literary agent. They're the ones who make. You don't just go straight to a big. So first of all, her book goes to this big company. She would have went to our characters are similar. I would go to an indie label. I would like to start small,
Mm-hmm.
where I could just grow and be a little fish, a little. But this is huge. Okay, this is a huge break. So somehow the manuscript's there. Something is. This is right. This doesn't fit for me. I'm not ready for this.
Mm-hmm. And see if you can come up some. Your words are hitting in this, but we can hear you. I'm not sure what's happening. So we see her there. She's in a waiting room. She got Evelyn. She said these are the things she's now looking at. She said this is foreign. There's some dignitary, people. She sees some people that are parents soothing their children. She sees some fidgety toddlers and money movers, and she sees things doing business. Now, all of this is unfolding before her eyes. Still not surreal, but just kind of unfolding. She still don't know yet what she has gotten herself into.
Because she's like a country girl. She's from a very small town in Ohio, and New York and Chicago, right? So she's in this hotel, like, oh my goodness, how did I get here? That's right. That's the backdrop.
Hmm. And
Ready
then
to.
now we still have her there. What were you going to say?
She's getting ready to meet. She's getting ready to meet the publisher and the senior editor. Now she's in the hotel and looking at how the heck did I get here under celebrity style treatment.
Yes, yes. And just being treated that way. Okay, so now she come here. They call her Miss Stewart, come in, look forward. She meets Lily Neal. She meets uh, Lily Neal, and she see that her personal assistant to Evelyn Hayes. And she, like we talked about before, she's never been in this expensive thing. She's looking around. She knows she already don't feel like where she should be.
And the
And
book,
so when we see this thing, she gets a chance. She talks to Nathan. Now she's calling home, telling him she's made it there. She's in the office and different things, and she still get to see some things looking around. Let's, from your mindset, the writer of this story, take us around in that office as if it is your story. What was Anneliese feeling like in there? And she's now calling home. I'm here. So let's unpack that a little bit of that feeling.
well, what happens when she gets into the hotel? She calls her best friend and she feels underdressed because the outfit that she brought to wear does not fit with the scheme, the designer's clothing that was going on in New York. So her best friend tells her to go and buy some new a new outfit. So she's in this curious hotel. On the second floor, they have um, designer boutique. So she takes her American Express card from her live-in lover and buys new clothes. So right there, I don't know if it, well, I'm sure people have been, I don't know, I've been in a situation still underdressed. So
Mm-hmm.
inside this office and meets Evelyn. The two personalities are stark different. Evelyn is high class, a model looking person, country club, um, just gorgeous, like being in a showroom. Her office was just the finest decorations that you can imagine, plush. And here Annie's feeling like a little country bumpkin, in her opinion. She's
That's, it's so true. And so you see her there, like you said, you really, uh, I like the way you kind of put that as you see Annalisa, a new writer, but then it all plays out in what she's going through,
as
you
far
know, what she's going through, and now she's feeling smaller and smaller. And so she meets also in there, she says she's feeling smaller. And then is it Marion or
it's
Marion?
Marion, yes.
So
And
Marion Nelson, the senior editor, she gets her, and oh my goodness, this part I loved. I absolutely love this. So she's giving her credentials, still not thinking about it, but after it get registered in her head, she realized she shouldn't have said this. But anyway, she gave her credentials like you would any for a regular job. I'm from Rooster, Ohio, Westbrook, and she's naming all those things. And she's realizing that she's given her portfolio, and they don't care about that. They say you are here. We don't care where you came from, all this stuff, but you are here. Take us to that point where they just letting her know, I don't care about that portfolio. You're here.
also, we're in the story, we're looking at the tension between Marion and Evelyn.
Mm-hmm.
Marion is a staple. She's the one who had that company. She's an excellent editor. She takes pride in all of her well-known authors. She puts a lot into, and the fact that this woman is sitting here without going through her or her department, she's furious. She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want to be. And so Evelyn has taken this on as a pet project. Why, we don't know yet. But Evelyn is behind this new author because it's going to give her more clout in the company, because her boyfriend is the one who owns the company. That's how,
Mm-hmm.
but she's qualified. So there's tension there in the first. So poor Annie's in the middle of this, at this interview, not knowing, she's insecure herself, not knowing why she's there. This beautiful bombshell of a woman is taking over everything, and Marion doesn't want to be there, period.
Mm-mm.
Angry. Feels like Annie got there probably by some kind of favors or sleeping around or something. So it's not a good.
If she's not too far from the truth, they'll read it, right?
Oh, they'll read it. They'll see.
Wow. And then we see that she's seeing in the book that there is, they said, nonfiction book, and the book is about domestic uh, abuse.
Right.
And
That's
she
what. That's what.
takes her, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's what her book is about. It's taken from life, bits and pieces of her own life, but she turned it into more of a fiction story. So yes, the story is about domestic violence. It means a lot to Annie, and so Evelyn likes the story, but you can see she's going to say, "Well, it's got potential, but we can make it better."
Yeah, they tell her that it's a little too dark. Now, as a writer, and we may have some authors or some aspiring authors here. And I'm going to reset before I say this. So I'm resetting the room. Thank you. Love Sensible. I think I said that. Lovin's Assembly 757. I'm sorry. I'm not too good with those names. Please forgive me. We see here with Annalise and those who are aspiring authors, like I said, and those who are authors can really relate to this, where you want to be a New York Times bestseller, and like you said last week, but are you ready for it? Are you
Oh yeah,
ready for your story to have like she told Annalisa in the beginning? We have your story. We may rewrite, we may do some things, just go with the flow. So here's where she's fighting. We see as the story move along that Annalise, she heard it, but it didn't settle in as to what they would do with her story. She felt like they picked her story apart. Tell us about that. And I hope you're still there because it's going around. Okay. You still there? Okay. Yeah, kind of went around.
I'm here,
So
yeah.
tell us
Did we
about
freeze up
how
again?
being a new writer, get your hand into, get into a huge publishing company. She feels like she is less than. And then not only that, her story, Evelyn told her in the beginning that there are some editors, some rewriters, and your story is going to kind of be, in my words, kind of be plucked a little to refine
Yeah,
that story. So tell us about that, how as of those who are aspiring as an author yourself, and you put your story into the hand of a big corporation, or those self-published versus indie, the things that happen within that story, deadlines and all that. Let's talk about that.
well, the thing of it is I also come from the music industry too. When you signed up, you have no say. Okay, you don't have a voice until you become well known. Am I breaking up again?
Yeah, but yeah, you're breaking up, but keep going.
Okay, yeah. When you're a new artist and you're signed with a record label, you're at their mercy. You dress while they want you to dress. You sing what you want to sing. Most people come there, they write their own music. They have a impression of how they want to be as an artist. But when you're signed with a big company, you're made over. They just going to look your image, what they put out there, and you have no say. So it's kind of the same thing with a new author. When you get, when you're up there, a big name for yourself, Stephen King and the rest of them, well, they have say, they have clout. They still work with their editors, but you're not going to just come in there and just do what you want. Well, a new author, that's not the case. So she comes in, and her book basically is taken over. Is taken
Mm-hmm.
over. So the changes are you talk about changes, rewrites is almost like writing the whole story. And in fact, it's interesting because I'm not going to mention who the celebrity was, but I heard this big celebrity wrote her book, and the editors did the same thing to her. Book that she
Wow.
started out with, book that they put on the market. So that's the tension here. It's like, oh my, all of this is just it's just her work taken over. It's going to be.
Yeah, and we see that in the story here. And she was telling her about she want her book to be the character. Do you say Marie or Mary? MRI. Mary or Marie?
Mary isn't interested. Marion is just sitting there like watching a train wreck. Marion does not like Annie. She's insulted because Annie shouldn't even be there. She did not go to a literary agent. She did not go to the editing department. She ended up at the top, and Marion is not happy. She has nothing to do with it. She's just looking at this like this is nuts. Who is this woman?
And she basically, uh, Anneliese basically put it out like there the way she was asking. You see her as she go a little further on in the story, and her storyline, her main character, is it Mary or
Mar
Mari?
Mar
Mari. You
Mar,
said
Mar
Mari. So she talks about Mari's journey, right, in the
yeah,
book.
that's what
She
20.
talks about suicide. She talks about being beaten, and she talks about eventually how Mari kills her husband. So all those details that she does in her story, when she gets it back to her, I don't want to go too fast, but when she gets it back to her, she said, "This is not my story." So now she is. I look at that and I really thank you, and I like that about this story, that you have this young publisher who really, she has her own voice, standing on her own, but being signed on with this huge corporation, her voice does not matter. She needs to just
Oh,
shut up.
and,
And you see her fighting. You
and
see her
before she
fighting in there.
she's troubled even before she goes. She's not the
Exactly.
loser for this. Not, not at all. Any of it. You have to be tough, emotionally tough to make it. To the big heights. There's more to it than just writing or singing. There's a whole lot of psychological stuff you have to be prepared for, and Annie's not prepared.
She's definitely not. She is not prepared for this. And as they tell her, now what gets me to Lolita is that she is assigned, Joanne is her assigned person that she worked with. And she's, uh, Joanne is her, what do you call it? I'm missing the thought. Her
She's
editor.
a coming. Yeah, but she's like an intern.
An
She's like, she's not.
intern. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's high up. She's somebody that Marion was supposed to be working on this, but Marion says, I'm not doing it. So she turns it over to the lead manager, Sam, who is over the department.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam gives it to like an intern, you know, a junior somebody. So Annie's not even
Exactly.
working with people. But she doesn't know. She doesn't care. But she's kind of wondering how come Marion's not talking to her. But she's happy at first with Joan.
She is. She is
That's
happy with Joan. She's happy how, she seemed to have a voice with her.
yeah.
And then I like how she negotiates with Joan.
Yeah, Joan is a sweetheart, and Joan gets the book, but Joan is not. She's on the lower totem pole. She has to march to the orders of what Evelyn says too. So yeah, her Annie and Joan get along very well. The book is going very well until Evelyn steps in and makes some major changes.
Ooh, and those were major changes. Like I said, with her going back and forth, we just go back a little bit with Anneliese going back and forth with Joan
She
and
was
letting her know, hey, this doesn't sound like my story. But Evelyn puts her in her place
well.
right away.
What happens is, well, there's a lot that happens because Joan tells her, "Annie, sorry, but I got it from Evelyn." So Evelyn guts the book and takes out characters and changes the whole dynamics of the book.
Mm.
And we start to set up to see how Annie is starting to cope with being distraught. I don't know whether you want to talk about that or not, but she starts getting a
Yeah.
behavior that to cope with this, she starts reaching for a drink of wine, which is something she never did before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because she doesn't deal with all of this. And so this is before and I don't know, I don't want to go ahead of you.
Yeah, you
Annie,
can go ahead because we're doing the first 6.
okay.
Hold on, I'm getting some background.
See, Tess is a major point in the book too. Tess is her only best friend. They went to school from the time they were in 4th grade. So Tess is the one. That's why Annie's under the assumption that Tess sent the manuscript to Rosaro Robins, because Tess is confident. She comes from a healthy family. She owns her own donut shop. So Tess is kind of like Tess is kind of like her big sister, but she helps her because she knows Annie was raised without her mother too. She was raised by just her father. We talk about that a little bit in the first of the book. So Tess's family takes Annie in, kind of like a sister, and Tess's mom kind of helps raise Annie.
Mm-hmm.
So Annie, when she's feeling down like this and the book has been stolen, and she starts to take a drink, she runs to Tess. And Tess talks her into, go and talk to Evelyn. You have a voice. Say something.
Exactly.
But don't, just do the book, get it over with. It'll be a bestseller. And then when you have a name, next time around, you get to have more say. So Tess is a good friend. She's trying to help her, but she sends her into the lions. He goes and confronts Evelyn. Evelyn is vicious. And and there's just a real hate Annie from Evelyn.
Now, what I do, it is so true. What I do like too, as we go back a little bit, what I like is that when she came in initially in the beginning with Evelyn, she tells her, look, your story is good. Don't even worry about it. And you may need to stay another day. Now, I like the things that she realized. So Annalise realized, is my me being a mother, a motherhood of baggage?
Right.
I mean, I got to call home and let them know. And she's like, wait a minute, you don't have nobody keeping your kids?
Right.
Well, who keeping you to do this? And she leaves her with a catch-22. Honey, you're going to stay here and you're going to call your family and you tell them that you're staying another day.
That's right. That's right.
I like that.
So so we don't know. We're looking at maybe Evelyn is upset because he's not sometimes even professional women want to get married and have children. Okay, so here she's looking at a woman who is younger, who has a family, also has a possibility of being, an up and coming new writer. So we don't know. That's why I'm not telling the audience at this point. We don't know why Evelyn is so adversarial towards her. Almost like she's jealous of her. So when Annie calls her and tells her, I don't understand why you book so, this is not my story. Well, Evelyn really lets her know, baby, you don't know what you're talking about. I know how to make a bestseller book. You don't, comer. So just either you like it or you can leave.
Exactly.
That's how the story is set.
Exactly. And I do like that. So what did you want season as well as newly published, especially newly published, as they follow this story along and they get to see what they really want? The ultimate goal is to be a New York Times bestseller, is the ultimate goal. Hi, Wendy. How you doing? That is the ultimate goal. But what do you want them to see? Those who are newly, are you there? See if I can hear your voice again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
So you might have to just stay right there. So what did you want those new writers to see, aspiring writers? Because I really, as I said early on when I first laid eyes on your book, is that this is a really good story for those who are inspired or seasoned, wanting to be a New York Times bestseller. So what did you want both the aspired or new writer or the seasoned writers to see in Anneliese's story?
Well, really, I wrote it from the standpoint, I come from the mental health platform. This book is a healing, and it doesn't matter whether you're a lawyer, it doesn't matter whether
come back in. I don't know if you have to move your mouth or your phone up to you. I don't know. We're missing some pieces.
Can you hear me now better?
Yes. Maybe you can stay right there. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll stay right there. My whole platform is mental health and doing inner healing and stuff. And so the book, yes, the backdrop is about a writer, okay, and about being professional and going into the professional world. But I'm writing it because whether or not you're a lawyer or a doctor, school teacher, intellect, whatever, housewife, if you have issues in your life that you've not resolved, it's going to affect you in your personal life. You're not going to have this. Yeah, you can become famous and you can do all these things, but we're seeing a lot of people who are famous. We're seeing a lot of people who have a platform, but emotionally their lives are a mess and they're falling apart. This book, I'm going to show you what it looks like, a life that needs to have counseling and help, because it's kind of my story in a way. Of some of the, I'm an adult child of two alcoholic parents. I don't wear that as pride or anything or as a label, but it's where I'm coming from. I'm an incest survivor. There was a lot of abuse in my past. So I had many years of healing on many levels. And so writing this book was cathartic. So I'm going to show you in this story the journey that this woman is going to have to take in order to gain her voice back and get her life to a point where she's healed from a solid mental, emotional place. So yeah, the writing of it is that's kind of the sub-story, the subplot, but the whole plot of it is to show you she's self-destructive, how it's going to affect her, stuff that she never looked at in her past, and also the steps that she's going to have to take to redeem her life and that of her children.
Love it. Now you said, and we're going to go back a little bit, but I want to ask you, you said this is a part 2. So is it within this book when it goes to the next chapter? Is that the book 2?
Yeah, part 2. Part 1 is a whole nother book. A whole lot of stuff is going to happen. See, on the back of the book, she's met with betrayal, grief, and incredible loss. But all of that's going to happen in part 1. Okay. Part 2 is going to feel like another book, but it's not. It's introducing a whole people that you were introduced to in part 1, but you don't know. It's going to go into how she redeems her. It's quite a story. Like I said, the kids grow up. It's an epic story.
Yes, I love it. It should be a movie, Lolita. So what we're saying, and it should be. So those who, if you didn't hear her voice is coming in good. within this one book here, there is going to seem like, as you say, a part two. So you're going to have one and two. The part two is when they grow up. So you're going to see
Well, part
Zoe
two
and Tyler.
yeah, part two is going to part one is a mess when it ends.
Yes.
I mean, it's a train wreck. But part two is
Wow.
going to bring in all the it's almost like it goes all over, but it comes out in the end, and you are really you're surprised by it.
Wow, I can't wait because I'm only doing the first 10, but I'm going to
Right.
read the rest. So the way we do this, we just do the first 10 stories because we don't want to give the story away. We don't want you to feel like
Right.
in your hearing that you have read the whole story. So we're taking our time with this. We're doing the first 10 chapters. But as you see, Anneliese, with her, now she's drinking a little bit. She says she need that, she say, liquid courage so that she can go ahead and continue to speak. And I'm glad she have Tess as her sounding board, and we get to see those things as she goes through it. But as we see those moments when she's talking to Evelyn, she wants to go straight to the head, like, and talk to them. But she has to go by protocol. Even her book didn't go by protocol as it's entered
Well,
into the
Evelyn
publishing
is
company.
insulted. Well, Evelyn is insulted. She's like, "Look, I already gave you this big chance. Don't call me. If you have any
Exactly.
kind of problems, then you go to Joan, and you go
Joan.
to the senior department, which is going to bring us into Marion, because Marion comes
Mm.
up in checks. Because see, now this going off the tracks, because Annie's going to run into writer's block. She stops writing. She can't do it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's missing her deadlines with Joan. When Joan would call her to see if she's done her rewrites, Annie can't do it. That's why she's talking to Tess. She goes blank inside because the book has been stolen. She has no idea what it's supposed to be. Evelyn's talking about wanting to make a commercial. So she's bringing it, she's going to bring in love stories and all this kind of stuff. You know how people, a little bit of sex and all this. And that's not what the
Yeah.
story is. So Annie has writer's block. So eventually Joan is going to convince Annie, well, look, Marion is who you really need to talk to. So you need to call Marion. And so in chapter 6, out of desperation, because the book is losing money and time, Marion's going to
Yes.
have to come on
Yes.
board and straighten this mess out. So
That.
there's going to be a meeting between Marion and Annie. That's chapter 6.
So,
That's all in chapter 6.
yeah, and it do reflect back because that is a big change, and then we see two pages of 7, but we'll keep going forward. But as we go back, like you say, with Evelyn and Annalise, at times they call her Annie, and I can see like show name, like her surname, her show name. That's the way I looked at it. So she's sometimes Annie, and then referred to as Annie, and then it seems like when they want to do
Okay,
business, they
you
call her
freeze.
Annalisa. So I'm kind of seeing those
It's
different things like that.
Annalisa is her name.
Yeah,
It's Annalisa. And
yeah.
back in
Is
the
that
1990s, when this story was in 1990s, that's when people were putting all the names together. Annalisa, you know, different, like Eliana, it was a different
yeah,
way they were
yeah,
naming. Now it's very common, okay? But it's Annalisa, is her name.
yes,
Because they will get mixed up with the character Annalise, who was on Murder, She Wrote, or what was that? How to Get Away with Murder, with Viola Davis, who I love,
oh yeah,
but
yes,
it's not the
yes.
same
I
name.
didn't see it, but I seen a glimpse of it. Yes, yes, and I see that
Yeah,
those two
Annalise,
parts
that
that they get
character,
in there. Yes.
right?
And so we do see Evelyn, as you say, when it comes to her story, and Annalisa is trying to fight for her story. She said, look at this story. This is not what I wanted. You got sex. You got her, uh, took out a whole middle piece, she said, and got her
Yeah,
married to a rich tycoon. She doesn't want that in the story.
had nothing to do with it. But that's Evelyn's life. It becomes Evelyn's story basically. Okay. Okay, Evelyn writes
Mm.
the story herself. She takes over. But that's what happens, Sam, when you go with, you know, and I've heard others, because when I was writing the story and kind of getting an idea of what editors do and publishers, I wanted to read about some of the pitfalls of people who are signed with with major publishing houses, and this happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
People's stories are taken and changed, and all these rewrites and stuff that they don't even recognize their own stories. It can be devastating.
Yeah, and that's what are you to do about that? You know, go with the flow.
Well, if
You
you're
signed
healthy,
on.
if
You
you're
gotta
healthy,
finish out your contract, right? You have to finish
you
out
got
the
to finish
contract.
out your contract.
And
If you're
then
emotionally
when she
stable,
mentioned to
people go
her,
through this all the time.
so true.
Okay,
When she mentioned to her about deadlines, that's how I hear some people that are indie writers. They want to have the leisure of no timeline. And so
no timeline.
I've heard
You know,
I've heard
go
from New
ahead.
York Times bestseller. I spoke with um, Kimberly Lawson Roby, and she was saying if you miss them timelines, your book could be a year or two later.
Oh
Them
heck
timelines
yeah, and
are
they lose
very
money too. I
important.
bet. I bet they
Hmm.
lose money too. That's why Marion
Yeah.
had to come on board now because they were going. The company's losing money
Mm.
by
And she told her, "Look,
Annie
you
being off track.
yes." And I like when Evelyn. I'm not saying I like it to be vicious, but I like to see when Evelyn told her, "Look, you lucky. Your book is here." In other words, you are nobody. You are unknown, and your book is here. And I am a bestseller, and I know how to make this book work for you.
Yep, you got it, girl. You got it.
And I'm like,
That's it.
oh my
So,
goodness.
so maybe when you were asking me what I want, because I'm a new author. I haven't made New York bestseller. I'm just
You
stepping
will
out
with this, girl. You better
so
pop that movie with it. Get the pitching.
thank you.
Look, get the pitching. Don't
So
let
I'm
me
telling
sick
people.
Evelyn on you.
I,
Don't let me sick
I,
Evelyn on you.
so what I'm saying to all of us writers, we better get real, get a reality check because you get with some pretty heavy hitters. I guess that's what I'm saying to new. That's why I read this and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is more to it than just being talented. And that's what I'm saying about singers too. It's more to it than being talented. There's a whole history of things that come with it.
True. And so I'm going to reset right now. We're having lots of fun here, guys. We have Lolita Coppage in her book. And you guys don't even look at the book. That's why I put it up there. I told you I read hard, guys. And Wendy, no. She's, Ellen. So the leaves, can you guys see it? There's a dent, though. The leaves turn brown. And
The leaves turn brown.
I love the autumn looking book. And so you guys, I'm going to put the book up there at the end when we're talking. But like I said, we're going back and there's something in chapter 6. Let's see. I'm looking at our time. So
Okay.
we're going to go back and talk a little bit about how she said that she felt like she had this family baggage, a new publisher, Evelyn. How does she even get? Now, that's the thing. Let's talk about that. I'm glad I wrote my notes down. I kind of want to slap Anneliese. I kind of wanted to slap her in this sense. How are you going to talk to Evelyn and ask her a question? A nonchalant question, really, in a way, but it's important to her. How did my book get here? I mean, like, really, how? How did it get? She said it was on my desk.
Yeah,
That didn't help
so
her.
who gives a crap? It's here, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Well,
Exactly. And so people,
well,
I mean, you
because
just
this
want to
girl,
nudge her.
she's young. I mean, it's like what's going on? She's so clueless.
She is,
So she
and
doesn't
at
know
least your
how to
book
play
is
the
there.
game.
Roll
Yeah.
with it. You let us see that she is not ready for this. She wants her power, her control over her book more so than seeing what's going on. And I understand with changing her story, that gives another cliffhangers to that's reason to be angry when
Yeah, it
your
was like
story is
some
no
people,
longer your story.
she's not competitive or anything like that. She just wanted to dip her toe in the pool of success to see how she likes it. She didn't want to be thrown in the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're in the deep end, if you do have what I call emotional intelligence, you're right. She would just fake it till you make it and just go with the flow. But this girl does
Exactly.
not have all that, which we'll find out later on in the book. She doesn't have the psychological makeup for this. And so
Wow.
that's why we are frustrated with her that she doesn't take these risks do these things. So that, yeah, I can see the frustration. You get really frustrated. It feels like she's so timid and so scared of everything. Okay.
And I
So
like when she, that is such, I like in sort of the beginning as she go um, to the interview, and you see her husband, like we said in the book, those readers who read,
boyfriend,
he's
remember?
around the literate. Well, I keep calling her boyfriend because it seems so much. He's 13 years her
Yeah,
senior. Nathan is
they're
not her
living
boyfriend
together.
as
They're
yet,
living
but
together.
yeah, they live together, and it feels like a marriage. It feels
Right.
like a marriage. She said she wished she would have did it the other way around. And Dorothy, I'm sure I'm going to see more of Dorothy. Right now, I'm not seeing her, but I'm
You
going to see more. She's mostly
won't.
babysitting her and Tess. And
Yeah.
I know we're going to see her raw, but I was looking at, you see Nathan probably about chapter between 4 and 5. You see Nathan is now just showing glimpse of romance towards his wife. He's, he's just kind of backing away. We're
Traveling a
seeing that
lot
early
on the road.
traveling a
He's
lot
traveling
on the
a lot
road.
on the road. He's not home a lot, so we're wondering, okay, so what's going on there? What's
Exactly.
going
And
on
we
in
know that he
that
has this
relationship?
new person. He's looking at this new person. I forgot her name, but
Yvette,
he's looking at her to hire Yvette, looking at her to
her name's
hire her.
Yvette. Yeah.
So I'm like, antennas going up about the way he just adamant about getting to her. So we see in chapter 6 that it's 3 months. Things feel like a blur since she's gotten the book, and she's still trying to adjust to working with Rosario and Robin. And so with these things, she is now, like you said, Joan, her junior level. Now you said junior level editor. So she's with her going back and forth with those things. And she had to let her know, look, you're new. What is being done to you about your story is reasonable. How do you feel about that? Joan let her know that these are reasonable things with you being unknown.
Well, no, Joan. No, Joan wasn't thinking that. Joan was in agreement with Annie.
That's what I'm
She liked the book.
saying. In agreement.
Yeah,
I may as well say in agreement. Yes.
she's
Letting her
in
know
agreement
that.
with now Evelyn, but she's letting her know that you got no say. You signed with this company. Evelyn calls the shots, so I can't help you. But you might want to go talk to Marion because Marion is the only one who can counteract Evelyn.
Mm-hmm.
She's on her level, so
Mm-hmm.
she said, so I can't help because Evelyn's the queen on this project. So if you need some help, you're going to have to go to Marion. And so Annie's thinking, Marion hates me. Why? I don't know. Why I can't go to. So that's why she's drinking her wine, and she goes over there and talks to Tess, and Tess is kind of telling her, well, you got to talk to somebody because you're not
Mm-hmm.
doing your work. You're not meeting your deadlines, and you're holding this company up, and you signed a contract. So it's
Right.
becoming a mess. It's becoming a mess.